As we reach the year 2050, it gives us an ideal opportunity to look back on the global response to the climate crisis in the last 30 years, particularly how festivals have adapted over the period to achieve net zero carbon output and the things that have happened to encourage this change, including the UK government's net zero by 2050 target. Climate change in the 2020s was defined as long-term change in average weather patterns across the world, mainly causing global temperature rises. At this time, scientists concurred that human activity was the driving factor behind the climate crisis. However, most of the UK public was still failing to engage in real climate action, gather motivation, or take any accountability. The COVID-19 pandemic and subsequent lockdowns in many parts of the world allowed us to see significant reduction in concentration of particulate matter in the air, proving the level of human contribution while showing that a high level of emission reduction was possible. The pandemic gave an opportunity for researchers to examine the impact of the Great Pause and for governments to listen and address these issues. Despite this, the UK government were not anywhere near committed enough to the climate crisis, proven by the approval of the North Sea Rosebank oil field in September 2023. A move like this was a huge step backwards for the UK and acted as encouragement to other nations to rein in their climate ambitions. Additionally, in 2023, under 20% of emission reduction measures were supported by policies and sufficient funding. In the 2020s, the UK events sector was behind the curve in terms of sustainability issues. In 2020, it was reported that 78% of festival industry survey respondents had never measured the environmental impact of sponsorship activations. Subsequently, despite some sustainability efforts of festivals, their plans were not as detailed as they should have been. In many cases, festival sustainability plans would have been considered greenwashing. Greenwashing is a misleading tactic used to show false company solutions surrounding the climate crisis that distract from real action. Global consumer trends began trying to push companies to end greenwashing and make real change in the 2020s, arguing that emission reductions are a necessary step, offsetting is not enough, and that transparency is critical, something that greenwashing contradicts. Often environmental considerations are hindered by the definition of success of festivals. Many 2020s festivals considered success to be numerical, with profit being the overarching goal. As we progress, social, cultural and environmental impacts have become more prominent, largely due to stakeholder demands. Now in 2050, sustainability sits alongside profit as one of the most significant measures for success. 30 years ago, reports were made surrounding issues that major cities around the world such as Miami, New York, Bangkok and Shanghai should expect to face as a result of the climate crisis. We were shown the potential of damages as in 2022 it was published that 91% of buildings were at risk of flooding in Miami, and still nothing radical happened until it was too late. The actual outcome was much worse, causing mass death, widespread homelessness and job loss, with the effect bearing most heavily on the wealthy after those with a lower economic status were priced out of the area as a result of climate-related insurance premiums in the 2020s. In 2021 we saw on average one climate-related disaster every week, but most of these being in the global south. The argument of the World Health Organization in 2023 that the people whose health is being harmed first and worst by the climate crisis are the people who contribute least to its causes is strengthened by this, as significant changes were only made as a result of suffering to those with a higher economic status after overlooking difficulties in developing nations for years. The impact of future thinking over the years cannot be underestimated, with the use of PESLab as a tool for scenario planning been able to construct a sustainable pathway to the present. The idea is not to try and predict what will happen in the future, but create solutions to potential problems to make them easier to overcome. With many potential solutions, such as a circular economy, stakeholder engagement is critical. Eco-economics is a global trend allowing consumers to save money, and the planet has also taken off in a way that we could not have imagined. Methods such as repairing rather than repurchasing, buying second-hand and switching to energy-saving products are all things that have contributed to global sustainability goals. These things have also contributed to the increase of circular business models. Festivals have always been great social and economic contributors. In 2019, UK festivals provided £1.6 billion in gross value added to the economy, impacting most heavily locally. On top of this, they unite local communities and play a large role in strengthening pride and destination image. It would be detrimental to let festivals fall away as a result of not adapting fast enough to global sustainability goals. A greener festival began to encourage green artist riders to attempt to introduce sustainable thinking within festivals and touring. From this point, the importance of artists taking a stronger stance on sustainability has improved massively as a result of social trends and values. These people are making use of their vast influence in order to change the way we think as individuals about the climate crisis. Artists and bands such as Green Day, The 1975 and Radiohead were industry leaders in demanding sustainable thinking within their tours and shows. Coldplay made tremendous strides in the 2020s on their tour by using renewable diesel for transportation, recycled BMW batteries to power their shows, and most innovatively, a kinetic floor around stadiums using fans dancing to help power the shows. Thankfully, we have seen the availability and cost of renewable energy and green hydrogen fall dramatically to less than the price of coal, which is the greatest incentive for the festival industry to change their ways. To encourage the necessary level of change, harnessing people, planet, profit was crucial. Without festivals being able to maintain the same levels of profit, organisers were never motivated enough to commit to the planet. The main sources of energy for festivals now are solar and hydrogen. With hydrogen being the most abundant element in the universe, harnessing it as a sustainable power source has become extremely common. Boom Festival in 2014 was one of the first to power their event through solar PV. With many event power suppliers using this method, it has now become standard practice for festivals. Hybrid events have become popular in the festival industry. They are used to combine online and in-person audiences. While we still see the need for human interaction and social experiences, virtual reality has become an exceptional alternative. The headsets have become lighter and unobtrusive, making them easier to dance with and more comfortable to use. They are now commonplace in most households. With travel being a huge contributor to a festival's carbon footprint, the hybrid aspect allows us to cut the impact of this significantly, while also allowing for lower numbers of on-site attendees, meaning much less waste. Alongside the sustainability benefits, we cannot forget the global reach that has been provided, together with the reduced cost. Finally, sustainability questions are now at the forefront of planning for all festivals, with significant considerations being made surrounding waste management, pollution prevention and preservation of biodiversity, and the world is a better place for it. All we can hope for is that the climate remains a key global focus and that the festival industry do not fall back behind the curve.